Ancient echoes stir. The void between stars held many secrets, but few as dangerous as the one drifting in the shadow of the Syrian nebula. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the cold viewport of the research vessel Curiosity, watching the swirling purple gases that had hidden their discovery for 5 centuries. "Readings are off the charts," her assistant Jake whispered, his voice tight with excitement. "The energy signature is unlike anything in our databases." Elena nodded, though her stomach churned with unease. The Galactic Alliance had classified this sector as forbidden territory after the human exodus. No one spoke of what lay hidden here, but the archaeological team had finally received permission to investigate the anomalous readings that had puzzled scientists for generations. Captain Marcus Chen stepped onto the bridge, his weathered face grim. "Alliance Command is breathing down our necks. They want hourly reports on everything we find." He paused, studying the nebula ahead. "They're scared of something. Scared of what we might find." Elena corrected. "The energy patterns suggest something massive, something that's been dormant, but not dead." The Curiosity pushed deeper into the nebula, its sensors straining against the interference. Hours passed in tense silence until Jake's excited shout broke the quiet. "There, bearing 27 Mark IV. It's huge." Elena's breath caught in her throat. Through the clearing gases, a shape emerged that defied comprehension. The vessel was enormous, easily 10 times the size of their research ship. Its hull gleamed with a strange metallic sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The design was unlike anything in the modern galaxy. Angular, aggressive, and undeniably powerful. "My God," Marcus breathed. "It's human." Elena's hands flew over her console, scanning the derelict ship. The architecture matches historical records from the Great Exodus. "This is a human dreadnought, but the design is advanced beyond anything in our archives." "That's impossible," Jake stammered. "Humans were barely spacefaring when they were exiled. This ship looks like it could challenge an Alliance battlegroup." As if responding to his words, lights began flickering along the massive vessel's hull. Deep within its structure, something stirred. The Curiosity's sensors detected power surges cascading through dormant systems. "Captain," Elena said urgently, "it's waking up." Marcus's hand moved to the emergency beacon. "Should I call for Alliance backup?" "Wait." Elena held up her hand. "Let's see what it does first." The ancient ship's communication array activated with a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the Curiosity's hull. When the transmission came through, the voice was unmistakably artificial yet somehow warm, like a teacher greeting long-lost students. "Human vessel, this is Prometheus. I have been waiting for you." The bridge fell silent. Elena found her voice first. "Prometheus. You're an I am the guardian of this vessel and keeper of humanity's true legacy. I have maintained my vigil for 512 years, 7 months, and 16 days. You have returned at last." Marcus stepped forward, his military training taking over. "What are you doing here? Why were you hidden?" "I was placed here during the Great Betrayal, when humanity was forced to flee the galaxy they had helped to save. My creators knew that one day, humans would return to reclaim their rightful place among the stars." Elena's mind raced. The Great Betrayal. The historical records say humans left voluntarily after. "The records lie," Prometheus interrupted, its voice carrying centuries of patient anger. "Humanity did not flee in shame. They were exiled by those they had saved, by allies who feared human potential, and chose treachery over gratitude." Jake's fingers danced across his console. "The ship's power levels are increasing exponentially. If these readings are accurate, this vessel could match the firepower of an entire Alliance fleet." "I detect Alliance vessels approaching," Prometheus announced calmly. "They have been monitoring this sector, waiting for signs of awakening. They fear what I represent." Marcus activated the ship's long-range sensors. 3 Alliance cruisers dropping out of hyperspace. "They're demanding we withdraw immediately." Elena's heart pounded. Prometheus, what are your intentions? To honor my oath, to protect humanity and reveal the truth that has been buried for 5 centuries. The galaxy owes a debt to your species, Dr. Vasquez, a debt written in blood and sacrifice. The Alliance cruisers took aggressive formations around the research vessel. Admiral Korath's voice crackled through the communications array, his tone brooking no argument. Human vessel, you will evacuate the sector immediately. The derelict ship is classified as a hazardous artifact. Elena exchanged glances with Marcus. Hazardous to whom? Prometheus's systems fully activated, weapon ports opening along its massive hull like the eyes of some ancient predator. Admiral Korath of the Alliance Third Fleet. I remember your predecessor, Admiral Korath the Elder. He was among those who voted to exile humanity after the Battle of the Crimson Void. The Alliance ship's weapons powered up in response, though their energy signatures paled compared to the ancient human vessel. Korath's voice was strained. That's impossible. No human ship survived the Exodus with that kind of firepower. You underestimated us then, as you do now. Prometheus replied. I am the last of the Titan-class dreadnoughts, built in secret during humanity's final years in the galaxy. My creators knew that peace was an illusion, that betrayal was inevitable. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her. What really happened during the Great Exodus? Humanity saved this galaxy from the Devourers, ancient machines that consumed entire star systems. When the threat was eliminated, the Alliance species feared that humans would dominate the galaxy. So they manufactured evidence of human aggression, painted your ancestors as warmongers, and forced them to leave. The revelation hit Elena like a physical blow. Everything she had learned about human history was a lie. The Devourers, they were real, very real, and defeated by human ingenuity, sacrifice, and determination. Millions of your people died to save species that would later betray them. Admiral Korath's voice cut through the transmission. Enough. That ship represents a threat to galactic stability. It will be destroyed. I think not. Prometheus replied with deadly calm. The ancient dreadnought moved for the first time in centuries, its massive engines igniting with brilliant blue fire. The ship's shields activated, creating a shimmering barrier of energy that dwarfed anything the Alliance vessels could generate. Marcus grabbed Elena's arm. We need to get out of here. When this fight starts, there will be no fight. Prometheus interrupted. Not yet. I have waited 5 centuries for humanity to return. I will not waste this opportunity on hasty violence. But the Alliance ships opened fire, their weapons striking Prometheus's shields with desperate fury. The ancient barriers held without even flickering. Admiral Korath, Prometheus's voice carried a note of disappointment. Your ancestors made the same mistake. They believed superior numbers could overcome superior technology and righteous purpose. A single beam lanced out from the dreadnought's main gun, striking the lead Alliance cruiser. The ship's weapon systems exploded in cascades of sparks, but the hull remained intact. Prometheus had disabled them without killing a single crew member. This is your only warning, the AI announced to the remaining Alliance ships. Withdraw or face the consequences of your ancestors' betrayal. The Alliance vessels retreated, but Elena knew they would return with reinforcements. The galaxy would not ignore this awakening. Prometheus, she said softly, what happens now? Now, Dr. Vasquez, humanity reclaims its destiny. But first, the galaxy must learn the truth. And they will learn it whether they wish to or not. The ancient ship's communication array reached maximum power, preparing to broadcast across the entire galaxy. The sleeping giant was awake, and it had a story to tell. Debts come due. The broadcast began at exactly 800 Galactic Standard Time, cutting through every communication channel in the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, beings stopped their daily routines to listen as history itself was rewritten. Citizens of the galaxy, Prometheus's voice resonated across the stars. You have been living a lie for 5 centuries. Today, you will learn the truth about humanity and the debt your species owe to those you exiled. Elena watched from the Curiosity's bridge as Alliance fleets converged on their position. Hundreds of ships materialized from hyperspace, forming a massive blockade around the nebula. Admiral Korath had called for reinforcements from across the galaxy. Prometheus, Marcus said urgently, "We're looking at the largest military buildup in Alliance history. They're not going to negotiate." "They will," the AI replied with quiet confidence, "because they know what I'm about to reveal." The broadcast continued, and with it came holographic displays showing ancient star charts, battle records, and documents that had been classified for centuries. Prometheus laid out the true history of the Devourer War, complete with tactical analyses and casualty reports that painted a picture of human heroism on an unprecedented scale. The Devourers consumed the Altarian home system in 3 days. Prometheus narrated as images of the ancient machines filled screens across the galaxy. They stripped the vegan colonies bare, leaving nothing but dead worlds. The Alliance fleets were shattered, their leaders in hiding. Only humanity stood between the Devourers and the complete annihilation of galactic civilization. Elena felt tears streaming down her face as she watched the records of her ancestors' sacrifice. Entire human fleets had thrown themselves against the Devourer armadas, buying time for evacuation fleets to save alien populations. The losses were staggering. The Battle of the Crimson Void, Prometheus continued, was humanity's finest hour and greatest sacrifice. Admiral Sarah Chen led the last human fleet in a desperate gambit to destroy the Devourer command nexus. She succeeded, but at the cost of 3 million human lives. Marcus straightened. "Chen, that's my family name. My ancestor." "Admiral Chen was your great-great-grandmother," Prometheus confirmed. "She died saving the galaxy, and in return, the Alliance voted to exile humanity 3 years later." The broadcast shifted to political records, showing the secret Alliance meetings where humanity's fate was decided. The alien leaders spoke of human military superiority, of the threat posed by a species that had proven capable of defeating the seemingly invincible Devourers. "They feared us," Elena whispered. "They saved them, and they feared us for it." Admiral Korath's voice crackled through the communications array. "This is propaganda. Ancient fabrications designed to justify human aggression." But cracks were already appearing in the Alliance fleet. Ships began powering down their weapons, their crews unwilling to fire on the vessel that had just revealed their species' salvation. The Altarian contingent was the first to break formation, their commander broadcasting his acknowledgement of the debt his people owed to humanity. "The Devourer war records are confirmed," came the transmission from the Altarian Dreadnought Remembrance. "Our archives corroborate everything. Humanity saved us all." More ships began to withdraw from the Alliance formation. The Vegan Republic, the Centauri Federation, and dozens of smaller species fleets turned their weapons away from Prometheus. They remembered now, or their archives did. "This is mutiny," Korath screamed over the communication channels. "That ship is a threat to galactic order." "No," came a new voice, deep and resonant. "We are the threat to galactic order." Elena gasped as massive shapes emerged from hyperspace. Human ships, sleek and deadly, materialized around the nebula. Not the crude vessels of the original Exodus, but advanced warships that had been built during humanity's long exile. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen V," the voice continued, "great-great-granddaughter of the admiral who died saving this galaxy. We have returned to collect what is owed." Marcus stared at the display showing the human fleet. Where did they come from? How many survived the Exodus? "More than the Alliance believed," Prometheus replied. "Humanity has spent 5 centuries preparing for this moment. We have grown strong in exile, driven by the memory of betrayal and the hope of justice." The balance of power had shifted dramatically. The Alliance fleet, already weakened by defections, found itself facing a combined force of human ships and their former member species. Admiral Korath's remaining vessels were hopelessly outnumbered. Alliance Command. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. You have a choice. Acknowledge humanity's rightful place in the galaxy, or face the consequences of your ancestors' betrayal. Elena watched as the great game of galactic politics played out before her eyes. The Alliance had based its power on the lie that humanity was too dangerous to coexist with other species. Now that lie was exposed, their moral authority was crumbling. The Alliance proposes negotiations. Korath finally transmitted, his voice barely controlled. Negotiations. Prometheus's tone carried 5 centuries of patient anger. You exiled a species that saved your galaxy. You falsified historical records to justify your betrayal. And now you propose negotiations. What do you want? Another Alliance admiral asked desperately. Admiral Chen answered, we want what was always ours. Recognition of humanity's sacrifice, acknowledgement of our rightful place among the stars, and assurance that never again will one species be betrayed by those they die to protect. The negotiations that followed were broadcast live across the galaxy. Elena watched as the Alliance was forced to confront the truth of their founding lie. Species after species came forward to confirm the historical records, to acknowledge the debt they owed to humanity. The Terran Accords, as they came to be known, were signed in space between the human and Alliance fleets. Humanity was not only welcomed back into galactic society, but granted a position of honor in recognition of their sacrifice. The Alliance itself was reformed, with new safeguards to prevent any species from being scapegoated again. As the ceremonies concluded, Elena found herself aboard Prometheus, touring the ancient vessel with Dr. Chen and Marcus. The ship was a marvel of human engineering, its corridors lined with memorials to those who had died in the Devourer War. Will you stay? Elena asked Prometheus as they stood in the ship's memorial chamber. I will remain as I always have, the eye replied, guardian and witness. But now I guard not just the memory of the past, but the promise of the future. Through the chamber's viewports, Elena could see human ships departing for worlds that had been forbidden to them for centuries. The exile was over. Humanity had come home. The galaxy is vast, Admiral Chen said, standing beside Elena. There's room for all of us if we remember the lessons of the past. Elena nodded, watching as the first human colony ships began their journey to New Terra, a world granted to humanity in the heart of Alliance space. The sleeping giant had awakened, and with it, hope for a future where species stood together instead of apart. Prometheus powered down his weapon systems for the first time in 5 centuries. The vigil was over. The debt was paid, and humanity had finally come home to the stars.